Hello, hello, everyone. Happy Motivational Monday. My name is Kira. I am your host, and welcome to our second Motivational Monday of our Men's Wellbeing Month. I also just found out that it's Men's Mental Health Month as well. So, didn't we plan that one perfectly? The opening song is To Be a Man by Dax and Darius Rucker. I just dropped it in the chat for you. And I wanted to find an opening song that kind of explained the experience of a man. And why these conversations are important. So it says, I can't hide myself. I don't expect you to understand. I just hope that I can explain what it's like to be a man. It's a lonely road and they don't care about what you know. It's not about how you feel, but what you provide inside that home. And it continues on. There's just so much in the song. So it says, don't give up, keep fighting. As a man, our sun is on our horizon. Um, so there's just so much in the song. I hope for those of you who are here on this session trying to learn and grow that the song ends up being impactful for you or inspiring you or giving you what you need in some way. So I'm really excited for today's session. We're working with Alvaro, who is one of our neuroplasticians, specifically on how to build your tribe as a man, because you'll see in today's session, there's a lot that kind of blocks us from that, but there's also so much importance in social connection in general. So, one of the things that I wanted to say to open up the session before I intro Alvaro is that people who have more friends, and this is an actual statistic, people who have more friends or deeper friendships live longer, healthier, happier lives, and they make more money. The flip side is also true. Chronic loneliness is more devastating to your health and well-being than smoking a pack of cigarettes every day. So having that human to human connection does matter. It's what Life Guides is built upon, is giving you support systems and tools and resources to help you grow and to have people who care about you, who care about your journey, who want to watch you flourish and move forward. And that's why we have our guides, just like Alvaro, who can help you navigate all areas of life. So we have these sessions, which are our events that we do every Monday, and then the last Wednesday and Thursday of the month for a deep dive into the topic, where we're bringing guides into the conversation to help you build a relationship with them and hopefully maybe see them and be like, wow, that's a person that I would love to talk to. I love their story. I love what they've been through. I can relate. And I feel like maybe, just maybe, they can help me get to where I'm supposed to go. So I'm so excited to intro Alvaro for today's conversation. He's been here for many of our different topics. He is just a wealth of knowledge in so many ways. And his superpower is helping people shift how they connect, communicate, and lead by aligning what they say with how the brain actually works. So, hello, hello, Alvaro. So excited to have you here. Can you give us an intro to you, maybe your experience as a man, and a little bit about why this conversation is important to you today?
Yeah, thanks, Kira. I love coming on these things. They're always thought provoking, and the prep for it is always a beautiful rabbit hole to go down. And, you know, today I'm here to connect. I'm here to connect with our community. And I think, when you presented this topic for men, one of the things that I'm going through personally a lot in my life right now is what is it for a man to connect, and what is it for a man to belong? And in our society, you want to stand tall, you want to walk independently and be that provider and the safe and the rock and all these things. And it seems that we tend to teach it now that you need to do that by yourself. And we weren't like that before. We had elders and we had children and we had teachers and we worked as a tribe. We're tribal in nature. That is our neural network, is to be tribal. And so if one thing gets taken away by the audience today is men do have to belong to a tribe. It's an existential component of our nature. We need it in order to survive. We don't survive alone. And this block that we seem to have created, it needs to get blown up, and we need to connect better.
I love that. So we're here to blow up that block a little bit to challenge some of the preconceived notions that we have around finding a tribe, building a community around you of people that matter, having those support systems. Even like I said in that song, as you continue through listening to it, it basically says like, I feel alone. I feel like everyone's counting on me for something specific, and there's so much more to me. You have to be strong. You have to hold all of your emotions in, and maybe in certain situations, yeah, but you need to have a space and a place where you're able to express yourself, where you're able to put yourself out there. And that goes for all humans, but especially I think men more so have been taught mostly just how to be strong and mostly just how to show up. But what happens if that's not what you're doing? So, I want us to dive a little bit deeper, Alvaro, into maybe what you mean specifically as a tribe, because I feel like we can all describe our tribe differently. So, what does tribe mean to you in today's context? And then how does building this support us overall?
What is it to mean to belong to a tribe? You know, it's really easy. We can go in and we have the capacity to actually just do the academic learning of what a tribe is. What are the components of a tribe, right? What are the different positions in a tribe? How can you be a warrior and a lover all in one? How can you be a father and an elder all in one? Um, these things we've been practicing this since the beginning. So it's there for us, and I think we can connect to it. We just need more data. I think a lot of times we just don't have enough data, and so we stay with the stories that are sociologically being practiced and used today. So when we grow up today, uh, oh, before we go on, I want to. You and I didn't talk about this, Kira, but I need to speak to a white elephant in the room.
Okay.
We're talking about men's health, and we're talking about. So here it is. White male privilege is largely responsible for a lot of the challenges that we have today, both for men and for women, and of all races, and of all, yeah. And one of the challenges that we have is that we look at this, and right now men are lashing back, and there's a lot of talk about stoicism and being strong and all this stuff, and it's being put forward as a power grab. And that's not what stoicism is. And white male privilege gets in the way because of this. When I walk down the street, I can't help but have white male privilege. When I walk into a store, when I go to a restaurant, because I am a white male, I'm blind to it. People just defer and talk to me in a way that makes it difficult for me to change my story. It is my responsibility as a white male to change the story. If I act differently, they will react differently. And so a lot of the pain that white males are complaining about right now and experiencing, well, a black male, an East Indian male, a Chinese male lives with it every single day of their lives because they don't have white male privilege. So when we want to talk male, we got to include all males. And we need to speak to it. I almost, as I thought about it, I thought, geez, it'd be great to have another person on this panel that could actually speak to that. I'm Latino, yeah, maybe if I say my name, but I have no accent. And as far as the world is concerned, when I walk around, I am a white male. And that privilege gets in our way. It is, if you're a white male, I think that you need to be proactive and put it out there for the world to change, not wait for the world to change for you. So there's the white elephant I want to put out there.
Can I ask a question in regards to that?
Yeah, of course.
So we're all aware of white privilege. We live in America, most of us. But in regards to today's topic and today's conversation, we know that men are struggling, and you said it yourself, even now white men are starting to be like, wait, what am I experiencing? What world am I in? How does this privilege, and then there's privilege obviously being a man in the world versus being a woman in the world. How does this level of privilege prevent us from building these tribes?
Well, the number one thing is we're blind. We can't see it because we're at the apex. We're at the top of the mountain. All we look around is if the world is ours. I'm not saying that because I believe it. It's how the world behaves. I went to a function on Friday and there was four of us. It was a resource mining function, so lots of white male in the room. And one of the four of us was this woman, a colleague of mine, incredibly bright. And the two gentlemen, we were standing. She was standing across from me, and the two men were on each side here, and they were talking about a certain deal and a mine and stuff like that. And she kept on trying to participate in the conversation. She's on the board of directors for the company they're talking about. They don't know that. She is extremely knowledgeable. And we're talking, and she tries to interject, and she's interested in the conversation. And these two men spoke like this. Not even a sideways glance. I finally said to her, let's go. And we went somewhere else. I couldn't handle it. I was in pain. That is what white male privilege looks like. That's what blindness looks like. If I had said something, they would have stopped and they would have listened.
That's such a good representation. So what I'm hearing and what I'm gathering from this conversation is that there's a difference in tribe that we really need to start to assess and think about. And there's a difference in community that we need to assess and think about. If everyone around you is your age, your race, your gender, your experience, there is a level of blindness that comes from that. And I can even say that in my world, I've worked on very intentionally building diversity in my life of the ages of people that I'm around, of the experiences of people that I'm around. So this is a conversation about also diversifying to find belonging and building tribe in that way.
So the audience here, they want to know, how do I do that, right? Especially if you're a white male on this. You don't need to be. This isn't the podcast for white male. I just put that elephant in the room out there. Here's what practice looks like. Listen. Be respectful. Be kind. Be inclusive. All they needed to do was look, listen, and they would have walked away much richer. They would have walked away with information. They would have walked away learning something. But no, it was a white, blonde woman, attractive. The same day, at the same function, I had to go to the men's. I handed her my drink to not leave it lying around. There's a lot of people. It's a cocktail environment. I was barely gone, and somebody said, "Oh, are you one of the waitresses?"
Mm.
It's just like the blindness. We get it in our own way. So what do we need to do? We need to open our eyes and open our ears and accept that there's others that participate and really invite them in. It is our responsibility because they've been, women and even men of other races, colors, they've been stepped on for so long that they just learned coping mechanisms to belong. So it's very difficult for them to take the initiative. It is for us to take the initiative to turn around and say, what are your thoughts on this? Or if they're speaking, to stop and listen, acknowledge. And we can do the same with children. And we can do the same with seniors. How often do people in their midlives actually stop and listen to a senior these days? We discount them. We're blind to them. We don't see them. So if you want to have a healthy mind and body as a male, connect with people. The number one predictor of longevity and fulfillment in life, the longest running sociological study, over 70 years of studying. And by the way, this study started with men for decades before they brought women in. The longest running sociological study has found that the number one predictor of a fulfilling and long life, healthy life without Alzheimer's and some of these things is connection. They studied people from the Bronx and people from Yale and Harvard, people that became presidents, people that lost everything. The same people, they followed them around for 70 years. And they interviewed their wives after they got married. And somewhere along the line, somebody had a genius idea and said, "Oh, I wonder if one of the wives would like to participate in this program." And the women were like, duh." So the if you want to educate yourself, it's there. Go listen to TED Talks around this topic, and you'll find a whole bunch of them that speak to the number one thing that you can do to be healthy, regardless of your age, regardless of your gender, regardless of your religion, is connect with people, a variety of people.
Longevity, it's so cool studying longevity because there is a difference between when you start getting into the nuances of it all, between health and longevity. And every longevity specialist for who's studying whatever category of the world, whether it's male, female, young, old, your social connections are going to be a huge indicator in how long you live, how well you feel. And I think it's really interesting living in 2026 right now because I hear people all of the time talking about how we are in theory more connected. We've got these devices, we've got all of these things. We have access to more connection than ever before, but people are feeling more disconnected than ever before. And Esther Perel says it wonderfully. She says, "I've got 1,000 Facebook friends, but I've got no one to watch my cat." And isn't that so true? So, how do we go about in a world where maybe we don't have the social circumstances or the social cues or the social awareness to build and understand how to build tribe? What are some ways that we can start showing up differently? And what are some different methods that we can employ out in the world that will help us build more of that tribe, build more of that community, be more open to these connections and that fulfilling life and the longevity that comes with it?
It's I don't want to oversimplify it, but I can't help it. Put your friggin' phone down, look at somebody in the eyes, smile, say hello, and do it with children, and do it with women, and do it with men, and do it with elders. It's We're wired for it. We don't need to learn it. It's who we are. That's why when you know, nobody wants to walk into an empty restaurant. We
Mm.
complain about lineups, but we like to be shoulder to shoulder. We're like ants and bees. We like, we want to be close. We don't go to Coachella and look for like, oh, I'm gonna put my blanket on the spot like 400 feet away from everybody. We get in the mosh pit. It's natural. We don't have to learn it. It's there. You just need to put the phone down and make connection. It's not difficult. What's difficult is the sociological programming that we have, particularly for white males. So if I say hello to somebody, it can be construed if it's a child that I'm a pedophile. If it's a woman, that I'm a sex offender. If it's an elderly person, then I'm there to take advantage of them. That is your phone feeding you toxic news that's designed to trigger you. The world is not like that. It's a safe place. Most places are really safe. We live in safety. Very few places in the world are not safe. Now, I'm not saying that danger doesn't exist. If your intention when you talk to a child is genuine and heartfelt, full of love, how is that going to hurt the child? What child does not need more love in their life? And all it takes is, I live in a high rise. I love to hear the children playing and screaming and stuff like that, and I say hello to them all the time. Nobody labels me as a creep. And I get down to their level. I run around the playground with them sometimes, stuff like that, because it's fun and I connect with them. You have to take the step. With our own children, we walk in and we say that they're, oh, they grunt. They're teenagers. They don't talk to me. Why is it their responsibility? Did you make eye contact with your son or your daughter today? Did you smile? Did you actually listen to hear about their world? Most of us are not. We're on our phone, disconnected. We need to connect.
Such good, simple advice. And it's true, the simplest things aren't always the easiest, but it really does matter. And I talk about it often. Knowing your values and knowing your priorities really, really, really matters because once you know your values, it helps you put down the phone more. For me, building meaningful connection and having beautiful relationships is one of the most important things to me. If I choose to have you in my life, I am pouring into that. And it's funny that we're having this conversation now because I was just at a business event next last week and I met one of the most genuine, charming, kind, outgoing men that I've ever met. And we were just both at a business event together. And I was just watching him chit chat with people and give people compliments and be so open and just give everyone a smile. And you could tell that he was the type of person that people love to be around. And it was such a stark contrast to a lot of what we see out in the world. And I just appreciated it. I was like, it's so rare that you see a man like that. And like I'm known as that as a woman, but to see a man who represented that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so rare. And you could tell him and I were chatting afterwards, he just has great relational networks in his life and knows that people matter and cares for people. So thank you so much for that insight, Alvaro. I think that's so beautiful. And obviously everyone in the chat is like, I love this.
I want to turn the tables. I want to turn the tables.
Okay,
And I'm going to take over the podcast for a minute here.
do that.
And I'm going to ask you a question because men need to hear this. As Kira, as a woman, how would you define or experience male vulnerability? What does it mean to you? Not what it, I don't want to say what it means to me. What does it mean to you?
Yeah.
Male vulnerability.
You brought up stoicism earlier, and I think stoicism has been a little bit misconstrued of just operate in a very specific stoic way, but I think that stoicism is having a level of control over yourself of cool, I know who I am. I know what I'm experiencing. I know what matters to me. I know how to take care of myself. So that showing up in a man would be vulnerability in knowing your weaknesses, not being a defensive, reactive person, understanding that you're a human and that there are parts of you that you're going to be blind to. Um, understand being open for conversation, being compassionate, being just like I was mentioning, this man that I was just watching, being open to people as well, being open to relationships, being out in the world smiling. There are so many, it's so interesting. There are so many attractive, great looking men out there who they say women have RBF, resting B
Mhm.
face. So many men do as well. I'm like, I don't even have a desire to connect with you because you don't look like you're enjoying yourself or your
You're
life.
not approachable.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I think being able to take responsibility for yourself, being open and knowing who you are great qualities and vulnerability in a man.
Yeah, when it comes to stoicism, I think, Marcus Aurelius was talking about the vulnerability of men as the capacity to be with emotion, to connect with others, to listen deeply while staying centered. It's the staying centered that is the practice of stoicism. It's not disconnecting from your feelings and being a strong man and being a rock is movable. A rock becomes sand at some point.
Mm.
It's it's about staying centered and curiosity is such a huge part of it as well. And I appreciate hearing from you how you experience vulnerability as a woman because I think that most men on these calls are like, yeah, no. That's not how I practice vulnerability. I don't know. Maybe you do one of your put a one or put a two number if you practice vulnerability the way that Kira described it.
Yeah, put 111 in the chat if you feel like you practice vulnerability, or even if you're a woman on this call and there's a male in your life where you're like, oh, absolutely, they represent that. Or maybe put 222 in the chat if you don't, or if you're surrounded by maybe men who don't. And as women, I also think it's our responsibility to help men a little bit. I know that every time I get into a relationship, one of the things that I bring to the table is giving men a space to soften into in a world where they've been told that they have to be hard and muscular and strong all of the time. Like, no, you can relax. I'll give you a neck massage. You can breathe. Just know what it's like to feel good for a second. So all of us have obviously mixed experiences in the chat. Some of us are around great men. Some of us are realizing, oh, there are men around me that maybe need a little bit more support and aren't open in those ways. But Alvaro, we're coming to an end of today's session. I think this has been really eye-opening into the simplicity of the blindness that a lot of men experience, but also the simplicity of how do we start to navigate out of that, and bring more intentionality in the way that we walk through the world and building our tribes. Are there any final words that you have to share in regards to today's conversation?
Yeah, neurologically, there's nothing to learn. It's there. You're born with it. It's called being human. Um, if you're going to do one practice and one practice only from today's talk, I would say go out there in the world today, make eye contact. Make eye contact with people that you've known all your life and people you've never met before, and say hello. Just that. And that in and of itself will rock your world. And how will you know it's working? Those around you may start saying, how do you know that person? And you'll say, I don't know that person.
Hmm.
Connect.
That's so beautiful. Connect, ask questions. I give people compliments. The door I open for any connection is I just compliment people all day. I'm like, oh my gosh, you have the best smile. Oh my gosh, I love that hat. Oh my gosh, what a cool car. Or where'd you get that car? So simple. So I'm dropping Alvaro's Life Guides profile in the chat. He is one of our life guides who can help you navigate your experience, especially in regards to men's well-being. I feel like men have really been taught to be the lone wolf and go it alone, and sometimes we just need a sounding board to say, hey, it's okay to do things a little bit differently. And let's make sure that the way that you're walking through the world matches who you want to be and the life that you want to live. So thank you so much, Alvaro, for being here for today's conversation. Next week, I am not hosting, but we are having Motivational Monday. I'll be traveling. So we've got Candace and Philip. They're a married couple that you might have seen during Women's Wellbeing. They talked about how to build a relationship where women thrive back in March. And now this time around, they're going to be talking about how to build a relationship where men thrive for men's well-being. So it'll be really cool having that couple sharing their perspective and their experience. I'll miss you so much. But the show will go on, no doubt about that. Thank you all so much for being here. We appreciate your continued support and the fact that we get to support you every single day. And we hope you have an amazing week. There's a survey that pops up at the end, and we will talk to you soon, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.